intensified its ongoing dismantle Hamas operation as its ground counter-strikes against Hamas have entered day 3. Explosion sounds can be heard every 30 to 40 seconds as Israel pounds several locations in Gaza while internet services in some areas are being restored. The Israeli Defense Forces claim that they have hit over 450 Hamas structures in Gaza Strip, taking out key Hamas operational command centers, observation posts and anti-tank missile launch posts as well. As part of the expansion of ground assault, combined combat forces struck terrorist cells that, according to intel reports, planned to carry out anti-tank missile launches. In addition, the ground forces directed IDF aircraft towards terror targets, and Israel top brass says that their best soldiers are leading the ground operations with the aim to destroy Hamas and ensure safe return of the hostages.
כוחות שלנו מבצעים כעת פעילות קרקעית ברצועת עזה. הפעילות הזו מלווה על ידי אש מדויקת וכבדה. אלה נועדו לשרת את כל מטרות המלחמה: פירוק חמאס, ביטחון בגבולות ומאמץ עליון להשבת כל החטופים הביתה. מיטב הלוחמים והמפקדים מאומנים ומוכנים היטב, פועלים כעת בעזה. פגשתי אותם בימים האחרונים. כולם חדורי שליחות ואמונה בצדקת דרכנו, הדרך של מדינת ישראל.
Bombing of Gaza has been intensified by Israeli troops. You can see the thick black plume of smoke billowing out from behind those structures that clearly indicate that short while back F-15 or F-16 has dropped a bomb. It's not only that there is an air raid being conducted, but besides this we have seen that how the tanks have also opened mouths of their guns. They're also pounding shells in that area, because since yesterday we have seen a change in strategy. Earlier it was a major tactical move from the Israeli side where they had been only continuing with the air raid, and for the last 2 days we have seen that there had been a limited ground assault, but now today they are trying to expand that ground assault from the northern region toward the southern region. As you can see, that black smoke has almost engulfed that area. After every 30 to 40 seconds, there one can hear the sound of explosion. And you can see, let me show you, see, some of those rockets have also been fired by them, and in the meantime, they try to react, respond and retaliate by firing rocket, but with the help of the Iron Dome, most of these rockets are being intercepted, but see, they had been trying. You must be hearing those explosion sounds. What we had been told that more than 200 areas where there's an underground terror network that has been hit by the Israeli troops. They are fighting a war on two fronts. On one hand it's Hamas, on the other hand it's Hezbollah.
But even as Operation Iron Sword against the terror organization rages on, Hamas continues to target Israeli civilians. According to latest reports, Hamas fired a barrage of rockets in civilian areas in Tel Aviv, central and southern Israel as well. Sirens have been blazing across the country while Iron Dome continues to provide cover to civilians. And the crackdown on terror continues on a war footing. The end goal of the operation is to dismantle and spell doom on Hamas terror. IDF says Israeli forces have arrested more than 1,030 wanted terrorists, including about 700 Hamas operatives, while a number of top Hamas commanders, at least 7 of them, have also been neutralized. As IDF confirms that 450 Hamas structures have been destroyed, Palestinian Health Minister claims that over 8,000 people have been killed in the Palestine, and that Palestine has called for an emergency Arab summit as well. Meanwhile, UNSC has also called for a meeting on Israel strikes on the 30th October, and Tokyo is urging allowing formation of humanitarian missions in the Middle East. Iran, on the other hand, has said that Israel, with its latest attack, has crossed the red line, and Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps commander-in-chief has said that Israeli forces will be devoured if they set foot in Gaza. Well, let's quickly open this up with a very special guest joining us this evening. We have Ambassador Joel Leon, who's an acting deputy spokesperson of Israel Ministry of Foreign Affairs, joining us on the broadcast. Ambassador, many thanks for speaking to us, for joining us here on Times Now. We speak at a time, sir, when Israel has pledged to continue its large-scale, significant strikes in pursuit of Hamas terrorists responsible for the 7th October attacks. How long do you think this ground assault will last?
It will last till we will crash Hamas. Hamas is a threat to the state of Israel, is a threat to the citizens of the world. Hamas is a terrorist organization which, on, as you say, the 7th of October massacre, came into the sovereign territory of Israel, slaughtered people, raped women, killed babies, took almost 300 hostages to Gaza. We are talking about elderly people, about babies there, who are now for 3 weeks in captivity in the hands of this bloodthirsty terrorists. So it will take the time that it will take till we will crash Hamas and free our hostages.
Okay. Ambassador, Israel has extended its ground operations in Gaza and it's been detailing all of it. Don't you think an extended ground assault could increase the prospect of civilian casualties, especially given how Hamas is deeply embedded in civilian areas? Will distinguishing between a Hamas terrorist and a civilian not be a challenge?
We called upon all the non-involved to go to the south of the Gaza Strip. There is a safe place there with food, humanitarian aid is coming all the time there, there is water and everything that is needed. You must remember that, again, Hamas is taking the population as human shield. Hamas is the murderer, Hamas is the war criminal, and by taking its own population, only Hamas is responsible for what will happen there.
Talking about civilians, while an Israeli officer today said that Israel would allow a dramatic increase in aid to Gaza in the coming days, are the civilians really in a position to escape? Even Egypt, for example, has refused to allow Palestinians to seek refuge.
Again, we are not asking the people to leave the Gaza Strip. We are telling the people to go to the south of the Gaza Strip, where we have a safe place there. So we hope that the people will listen. And it was very clear. We said that everyone who will stay in the regions together with the Hamas terrorists are terrorists. You know, Hamas is not going around, the terrorists are not going around in military clothes. They are dressed as civilians. So we are not talking about here a normal war against an army. We're talking here about bloodthirsty terrorists who are using their own population cowardly in order to hide behind them. So we tell the population, go away from these terrorists.
Mr. Joel, you're saying Israel has done all it could to ensure no civilian casualty takes place by creating a humanitarian corridor, sending out regular warnings, etc. But are you also ruling out the possibility of an Israeli assault in the southern part of Gaza Strip if it comes to that?
Look, if we say and if we tell the people that is a safe place, it is a safe place. Now, about strategies, I don't know the strategies of the army, but I know that these people will be safe there.
Mr. Joel, many are also asking, has Israeli response been proportionate? And I ask this particularly because as per the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry, the death toll in Gaza amid the ongoing Israel-Hamas war has risen to 8,005, including 3,300 plus children since the fighting began on the 7th of October.
You are quoting the numbers of a terror organization, so nobody can believe this. The second point is about proportionality. Proportionality is not something that you can judge right now. Proportionality is a legal term in the law of war, where it should be shown that the belligerents took into account if there will be not an excessive toll of death by achieving a military goal. That's proportionality, not numbers, and not, of course, not numbers from a terror organization where nobody can check if it's true or not.
Okay, you're saying that, the numbers, the figures being shared by the Hamas must be cross-checked. But as the war escalates, let me ask you if the country is also preparing for a two-front war in Lebanon against Hezbollah and against Hamas in Gaza.
We are a strong country, we are a united country, we have a strong army, and we are not afraid of anyone. We only told the Hezbollah, don't dare and don't try. You know, we have to remember who is behind Hamas and behind Hezbollah and behind the Houthis in Yemen and behind all the militias in Iraq. It's Iran. Iran is the one who is guilty for the deaths of all these people in the Middle East right now.
And while speaking of Iran, there are those like the Revolutionary Guard Corps commander in the latest, the Corps commander-in-chief, who said Israeli forces will be devoured if they set foot in Gaza. How would you respond to such open threats?
Should I respond to a terrorist? I'm not responding to a terrorist. He can say whatever he wants.
With the ongoing conflict in Gaza, Ambassador, the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has also issued an apology to his intelligence and security chiefs just hours after he accused them of not informing him about the wide-scale attack that Hamas was planning against Israel. Is there a sign of growing rift in Israel's war cabinet? If you could take us through the domestic politics that is at play in your country amidst the war.
We are at war. We are at war, and at war we are united. After the war, all the questions will be asked.
I have a couple of questions, Ambassador, with regards to the hostage situation that Israel finds itself in. But before that, India has also abstained from voting in the UN General Assembly resolution that called for an immediate humanitarian truce in the Israel-Hamas war, stating that the resolution did not mention Hamas and that UN needs to send a clear message against terror. What's your opinion on this, and what's Israel's view on India's response?
Our view is that we hope that India would be against this resolution, which was a biased resolution, even not mentioning the terror. But we are happy that our friends understood the point.
Ambassador, before I come across once again to you with regards to the hostage situation, we want to put out these visuals. There's mounting pictorial and visual evidence of how Hamas unleashed mayhem in southern Israel on the 7th of October. They went on a killing spree, massacring and butchering anyone who came in their way. Israel has now shared fresh proof of Hamas savagery. Horrific images document how civilians and their hands were tied using zip ties, domestic electrical cords during the attack before they were killed by Hamas terrorists during the unprecedented attack on 7th October. Many of the dead are still unidentified, and concern over those taken hostage is also rising. As Israel expands its ground operations in Gaza, relatives of those taken to Gaza and held captive by Hamas militants have expressed concerns over the safety of their loved ones. They called on the Israeli government to meet with them as Israel expands its ground operations into Gaza Strip. The families, in fact, gathered around a central square in Tel Aviv and also warned that they will escalate their protests if the government doesn't reach out to them. Many in Israel are also ready to pay for more information for those taken as hostages.
The families that are here are deeply concerned about their families and their loved ones, and in this point they are addressing the cabinet members and saying that in about 2 hours, if no one will reach them and talk to them about what's going on, they will start a big demonstration against what's going on, because they feel they're left behind and no one is really caring about them. No one is talking to them, no one is explaining what's going on. So the demand is in 2 hours, please come and talk to the families and explain to them what is going on.
So I called a number of people that I know. I'm a tour guide, and I have a lot of access to people who are very wealthy. I called them up and I said, I want to offer 1 million shekel, which is 250,000 American dollars, to any Palestinian in Gaza who gives us information about where the hostages are. So if they help us save a Jewish hostage or even an Arab, there are plenty of Arab hostages, Bedouins from Rahat, that are in Gaza, we'll give them 250,000 American dollars. We have an email. It's 1millionshekels@gmail.com. You send us any information. You send us coordinates. You send us any information. If one of the hostages run away and you can hide them in your house, we will give you $250,000 and get you out of Gaza. Please, please, I'm begging you.
Ambassador Joel Leon continues to stay on with us. Sir, want you to talk about the hostage situation. What about the hostages? We've heard it from those whose family members are held captive in Gaza Strip. The families of those held captive by Hamas fear for their lives, especially with the escalation of a ground assault by the Israeli Defense Forces.
You see, Hamas is playing with the minds of the people. They are doing a psychological war with the poor people. Not only that they took their relatives as hostages, they are using them now as in this psychological war. So the world has to remember that Hamas is ISIS. Hamas is a terror organization using the propaganda machine in order to promote their goals, which is the destruction of the state of Israel.
You're calling it psychological warfare, but Ambassador, Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar reportedly has said that the group is ready for an immediate prisoner swap with Israel. Is Israel contemplating releasing Palestinian prisoners in exchange for the hostages?
I'm not talking about what Israel is ready or not ready. I cannot give you any information about this. This is a matter of confidentiality. And, again, we don't believe a word of what the Hamas leader is saying. These people are people who should be dead right now. These people are the ones who were behind the attack on October 7th, killing 1,300 Israelis, raping people, taking the people from their home to in captivity to be as hostages in Gaza. And now he's coming and talking.
Ambassador Joel, many thanks for taking out your time and speaking to us here on Times Now and sharing that detailed perspective. Well, viewers, we've seen mounting